Well, it's no surprise that mainstream media loves hating on Tucker Carlson, and Newsweek reported yesterday that Tucker Carlson launched a new show on Russian state TV. Is that true? The former Fox News host says, no, it is not. And journalist Philip Wegman, who's been on our show many times, wrote on X, total bullshit in every way, Tucker Carlson tells me, of Newsweek's claim that he launched his own show on Russian state TV. Now, CEO of the Tucker Carlson Network, Neil Patel, said yesterday the Tucker Carlson Network has not done any deals with state media in any country. Whoever is currently pretending to be the old Newsweek brand would know that if they had checked with us before printing, like news companies are supposed to do.
Hours after the original article was published, Newsweek issued a correction, writing, "This article was updated to make clear there is no evidence the Tucker Carlson Network has done a deal with Russian state TV." The headline on the article now reads, "Tucker Carlson show aired by Russian state TV." Yesterday afternoon, the Russian state media channel Russia 24 had clips of Tucker Carlson available under the title Tucker Russia 24. The clips are from Carlson's show that he has already aired on X and YouTube, but with a Russian voiceover on them. Let's take a look at one of those clips.
И тот самый орган, который пишет законы для нашей страны банкрота, приняла решение о том, что 95 миллиардов долларов налогоплательщиков надо направить на поддержку Израиля, Украины и Тайваня.
He's so animated in Russian. Comedian Jimmy Dore responded to Newsweek's original claims, writing, "Of course this isn't true, as proven by the retraction below. Tucker is hated by the establishment media now because he told the truth about Ukraine, COVID, and pharma's lies about their vaccine. You don't get fired from corporate news for lying. You get fired for telling the truth." I'm not sure that that's why Tucker Carlson departed ways with Fox News, but regardless, he clearly is right in this instance. And I mean, even if it were true, you know that the coverage of the story is motivated by a desire not to criticize Tucker or impugn Tucker for the substance of what he says, which I don't agree with politically, and I think there's plenty there to criticize, without doing this kind of guilt by association and kind of Russophobia that has been driving a lot of the liberal outrage machine since 2016.
That is at the beating heart of the liberal outrage machine at this point. Yeah, the reaction on social media yesterday was, you know, I told you so. See, we always knew he was a Russian stooge. We always knew this was what was going to happen. So Newsweek screwed up royally. They could have gotten comment and they would have confirmed that this was incorrect. That, you know, just seeing his clips there doesn't mean that he has inked some deal to produce content for them or is being paid by them. Our clips appear all over the place. Internet shows, that's how it works. People react to them. People take it without permission. That's fine. We do that too. It's just the ecosystem of how an internet TV show works. There's nothing strange about it. It doesn't necessarily mean we agree with the politics or if it's a state issued something that we would agree with that government or that they're compensating us. It just doesn't work that way at all. And Newsweek really ought to have known better. And then, of course, so many mainstream people gratified that what they thought about Tucker was proved to be correct, and then swiftly, of course, corrected.
Yeah, ironically, I think there are many folks who see the difference between the original Newsweek title and the edited Newsweek title as immaterial, because they also perceive there to be some kind of necessary guilt by association from a Russian outlet choosing to air Tucker's clips. The presumption that if you are even popular in Russia, or if a Russian likes you, or if you sat down and interviewed a Russian, let's say Putin, that necessarily means that you are not just in agreement politically, but somehow bought by, paid for, aligned with, not your own man, as it were, because of that Russian influence. It's really not like much I've seen elsewhere. No one seems to be immune from this. I still remember back in the 2020 cycle, where right after Bernie won Nevada, there were a cycle of articles that said Russia wants Bernie to win. Like that was supposed to mean something about whether or not an individual in America personally agreed with his policies. I remember being interviewed once when I worked for the campaign about what I thought about Russian misinformation, that America hadn't treated black people well. And I was like, is it misinformation? I'm supposed to disagree with that statement. I'm supposed to disagree with American history because a Russian also said it. So yeah, this has been absurd for many, many years. And this is just the latest example of Russophobia gone wild.
And looking specifically at the article, and I should say I use Newsweek pretty regularly. I think they're often a good source of information, not always, but often. So I don't have any particular beef with them. I don't agree with how this article has been updated to reflect the changes. So the article now itself is fine. It's accurate. The headline says Tucker Carlson show aired by Russian state TV, which is accurate. And the article explains what the situation is and has the quotes from Neil Patel, etc. But then at the bottom, it just says updated at whatever time it was updated. This article has been updated with a statement to Newsweek. Like it's more than, it does not chronicle the errors. It does not like keep a record of what went wrong. Like if you're just coming to this article for the first time, you might even be like, wait, what? It doesn't say that. It's fine. So that's not the right way.
So it doesn't say that
Yes.
this article previously misrepresented Tucker as having a
yeah.
deal with Russian state TV, whereas in fact his show
It should
simply
say that in
aired.
the correction, so
Yeah.
that you can go and look at why has this been corrected. Oh, that's why.
Yeah, and in this way, it looks like they didn't actually have an error. They just discovered new news. So
Right.
they just got a new quote and decided to inform you because we're very good at our jobs.
Yeah, and they didn't ask anyone. If they got a misleading statement or an incorrect statement or something from, or I guess if they didn't get a response, although then you should say, well, we asked them about this and we did. I don't know how I would, because it's a kind of wild claim. So I don't think I would run with the story without getting confirmation from someone involved in it.
It's a pretty big jump.
To just see it on TV or whatever and be like, aha.
Yeah, there are some kinds of things that I would, I think, judge less if people presume they were true given the circumstances. Let's say, I see, we're going to talk a little bit later about a story involving Rudy Giuliani selling coffee beans. But if I saw an ad with Tucker Carlson and he seemed to be selling coffee beans and he went around, he's selling coffee beans, I can kind of get that. And it might just be the case that his kid is doing a bake sale for a coffee bean scale for. I mean, there's a way that could be misinterpreted, but there's some things where what you see is what you get.
In Mother Russia, coffee bean sells you.
But I think seeing a show air or a clip of a show play on television, I don't think I would jump to the conclusion that the person made a deal with a company, given, as you were saying before, the ecosystem of internet TV shows, the way clips get played, and also the way that things get sort of syndicated beyond the first
Maybe if it was
production and
very
airing.
exactly. Maybe if it was very obviously new content or an interview, for instance, an interview with someone that it was clear Tucker had not interviewed yet. And then you would be able to make the claim. It clearly appears that he is producing original content for Russia, but
Also, by the way, what is the problem with that?
Right.
I'm
That's
sorry. Like
true, sure.
Ed
Ed Schultz went from MSNBC to RT.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is RT was one of the first outlets that was hit, and I would argue an authoritarian and anti-First Amendment freedom sort of way in the wake of
Ukraine.
The Ukraine invasion. I spoke on my own podcast with people like Abby Martin and Chris Hedges, who lost a lot of content because it was taken down and there were, no official backups of the work that they had done when those bans went into effect. If you're going to make a substantive argument about Tucker Carlson being a Russian stooge and not making good arguments or working against the interests of the American people because of his influence from Russia, make those arguments. Make them. And maybe they're true and maybe they're not. But what we know is that he just had this interview with Putin where, frankly, Putin was rather hostile to him. It was adversarial. Tucker did not look either friendly with Putin or like he came off especially well in dominating Putin. And so for that to be the most immediate context of the relationship we're talking about, to presume that just because there's an audience of people in Russia who might be interested in your content. I mean, if I do a children's cartoon show and they like the children of Russia like it, does that mean I'm also a Russian agent? If I write a romance by the next 50 Shades of Grey and it takes off with the women of Russia, does that mean also that I'm a tool of the Kremlin?
Vladimir Putin says he prefers Biden to be reelected. He'd rather have Biden as president than Trump. Is Biden in the vast Russian conspiracy?
Exactly. It's also silly.
Answer us that, MSNBC. All right, we'll have more Rising right after this.